Hey guys, this is my first Dota Diary video in a little while. I want to talk about the fact that I have hit the highest MMR that I have ever been in my entire career. So let's go ahead and get into exactly why I think that happened. Nice flex, BSJ. Hell yeah.
Banana slam jam.
No, but in all seriousness, I want to tell you guys kind of like the story of how this keeps happening. So I shot up to 9K and I actually went to like 9120, like right away. Like I went to 9K and I just won like 6 games in a row. So I was hovering right around 9K. I'd lose 5, win 4, lose 3. And then suddenly I just shot up, right? Win 6 in a row, and then win 5 of the next 9. And I shot up to 9.1. And if you notice immediately what happens after that, is I proceed to lose more than 50% of my games. I kind of like slowly trickled down back around 9K. So I shot up to 9140, went back to about 9K, and then time goes on, I pretty much stagnate between 9K and 9100 for about 2 weeks. And then suddenly this week, I have this streak where I just win all these games here. Bunch of games in a row. So then I hit 9320. Like that was the highest MMR I've ever been, 9320. That was at the end of this win streak right here. And if you notice afterwards, it ends up being more like 50-50, right? We're seeing it again, 50-50, and then it's actually losing a few more games than we win. So right now my MMR is at 9230. But what keeps happening to me is that I gain 200 or 300 MMR, and then I lose back half of it in the next like 4 or 5 days. And then I stagnate somewhere in that range between where I hit the peak and where I lost it, and I stagnate there for maybe a week or 2. And then I have that one day where I just win more games or win a ton of games. And that keeps happening. And so first and foremost, I want to emphasize to you guys that this wasn't like some smooth sailing, just win 80% of my games, suddenly I'm the highest rank I've ever been. It's not like that at all. It really comes down to the fact that what happens to me every day is I feel like most days I'm playing pretty well. And some days where I'm playing really well, I'll go even. I'll play 8 games and I'll win 4 and lose 4. And at the end of the day, I still felt like I played well. And then there's some days where I feel like I didn't play all that well and I was like 2 and 3. You know, or I even go even on days where I didn't feel like I played well. And so what I'm trying to say is that there's days where I feel like I deserved to lose MMR where I went even. And there's days where I felt like I deserved to gain MMR and I also went even. There's never really been a day that I feel like I played poorly and I won a bunch. And there's never been a day where I feel like I played really well and I lost a bunch. What I'm basically trying to say is that if I play above average for how I feel, I either win somewhere between 75% to 50% of my games. And if I feel like I played below average, I win somewhere between 25% to 50% of my games, you know? And there's a lot of variance there, you know? There's a lot of factors in Dota in regards to actually winning the game that you cannot control. And that's something I've truly realized in the last like 6 months. And I feel like when I look at my chat and I look at sometimes comments in the YouTube channel, there's so many people that are dwelling on things that they can't control. I think the number one difference in my mentality compared to like a while back, also from what I see in a lot of the Dota community when I look at my chat and all that kind of stuff, is that if my team makes 50 mistakes, like let's just say if you broke it down in the game and your team made a ton of mistakes, some of which were like absolutely game throwing, I don't give a shit. You know, like I actually stopped giving a shit about these things. And instead I just said, could I have done better with that mistake? Like say they all fed. Was there a creep wave I could have cut to prevent the opponent from going high ground? Did I go join them and die as well? Could I have avoided dying myself so that maybe we draw the game out and end up winning? I have chosen to focus purely on my own mistakes. And every time I catch myself dwelling on my teammates' mistakes or things that are going wrong that are not of my own doing, I take a break. I force myself to take a break. And trust me, as somebody who's played Dota religiously for 10 years, that's tough. It's tough to say like, I am not gonna play Dota. And it's almost like the self-accountability punishment system where I'm thinking, if I can't play the way I want to play, and if I can't have the mindset that I say I'm trying to have, I'm not allowed to play. And for me, I love Dota. I truly love Dota. I really do. I'm not just saying that because I'm making money off of it and I play it on, or I do it off YouTube and all that kind of stuff. It feels like a reward nowadays to get to play pubs. Like I am holding myself so accountable that the only issue I've had is that there's days I wish I could play and I told myself I'm not going to because I know it's in my best interest for my own rank, for my own consistency, for my own mentality, accountability, overall improvement. I know it's important that I don't play that day. If you play on days where you're not going to play at your prime, and you're also intending to gain MMR, that's really hard to overcome. I'm trying to emphasize that there's days where I play perfectly, or not perfectly, but like I play as well as I would expect myself to play, and I go even. And I'm thinking, I played really well today, and I'm going even, you know? And if that's the case, then if you're going in with days where you're playing suboptimally, it's really hard to like compensate for that, you know, on other days. So, you know, there's a lot of variance, a lot of struggle in Dota, and holding yourself accountable, looking at your own mistakes. Some games you'll make 10 mistakes and you'll win. Some games you'll make one mistake and you'll lose. That is just how it goes, you know? And I used to kind of drop a game out of my mind if I won. It's like, I won. Cool, move on. But I used to like treat losses and wins differently. I used to think like if I won, I don't really have to think about that game much anymore. If I lost, maybe I have to dwell on that game. And the fact is I'm choosing to assess the game on something I didn't control. I didn't control whether or not I won or lost. I controlled how well I played. So now I just try to look at every game with how well I played. And certain games I win, I actually look back on it and think like, man, that one time I did that, let me watch that back. I'll look at the graphs. You know, an example of that was this Batrider game. You know, I looked back at the graphs. It felt like this game was really good. I felt like I played pretty well all game. And I look at the graphs, you know, we're dire here. I see this, and then I see this. And I go back through the game, and both of these were moments where we had used Lasso. We had won a team fight. I told the team I was farming my next item. And while I was farming my next item, they died. And it's not like they got caught. They literally ran into the opponent triangle and fought them. And that happened both times. And that's a situation where as a streamer, it's difficult because your viewers, you know, they troll you, they shit talk you, they type shit like copium and foreheads and lols and keck W's. But it's like, I just look at this graph and it tells me everything I need to know about the game. And so like what I'll do is I'll watch the game back and say I died right here. I did something that I thought got my team in trouble. You know, I remember I made a mistake where I overextended a bit and got two of my teammates killed. That was right here. It was early game. I got my teammates killed by making a bad call. And I see that, I'm like, okay, it was a mistake. I mean, obviously it was a mistake. Like it led to something bad, but that was not nearly as big of a deal as what happened here, right? And so it's like, I want to be able to assess the severity of my own mistakes, and I want to be able to hold myself accountable. And these are the type of games where what happened was it felt like I was fighting uphill the entire game. Even though we were winning, the game just felt way harder than it should have. I know you guys know what I mean by that. And in the past, I would have just dwelled on this so much. I would have like thought about the game afterwards. I probably would have carried that baggage into my next game. But instead, I'm like, I feel this way. Let's look at the graphs. Let's watch the game back, see like what happened in these moments. And I just basically became aware. I processed it and I cycled it out. And then the next game, you know, I come back and play my own normal Dota. That's the biggest thing, is eliminating those days where you're playing suboptimally and removing the baggage from previous games. There's going to be games that don't go your way. Sometimes it was your fault. I don't even want to say your fault. Sometimes it was due to your mistakes, and sometimes it was due to your teammates. But even if the game was lost largely due to the mistakes of your teammates, you know, I still hold myself accountable for the mistake that I held here, and I still think about, you know, what I can do better in the future in regards to that. I also consider to myself, were there better items I could have gone? Were there different things I could have done to maybe prevent this sometimes? Because sometimes there is. You know, you got to get a little creative. But it's like when you tell your team, you know, I'm farming my BKB, and then they go fight 4v5 in the triangle. Not much you can do about that one. The large reason for this Dota diary is obviously I'm happy I hit my highest rank ever. But it's been a lot of slow but consistent improvement. It hasn't been some like epiphany where suddenly I'm just like way better. A lot of it came down to holding myself accountable in every regard and really being disciplined about that. Never wavering from that mentality. And I can just tell you guys that if you waver, there will not be gains. You have to simply be better than you previously have been if you want to gain MMR. You have to constantly be holding yourself accountable, slowly but surely improving. And maybe this sounds stressful for you. I love this process. I love it. I feel like there's reasons why I lost. I see them more clearly now that I think about the game this way. I'm learning things slowly but surely because I'm breaking down moments I was confused and critically thinking about them and having these like little understandings that I'm gaining. And that feels way better than just feeling like I lost and that sucks, or feeling like I won and that's great. I have like clarity in regards to my wins and losses. And I feel like a culmination of that over the courses of 3 or 4 months that I've slowly but surely been gaining is really what is responsible for what's happening with my rank. And I hope to, next Dota Diary video report to you guys that I've continued to climb. But I'm also kind of prepared if I do take a fault, if I do falter, if I do take a step back and maybe I've hit my peak for now. I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm still growing. I don't feel like I'm deserving of more MMR, but I feel like I'm slowly but surely growing in understanding and mentality, discipline. I have these games that I wouldn't have won that I won now. Those games where you recognize that scenario, it feels all too familiar, and you're like, I used to lose that game, but now I won this one. That's like the best feeling in the world, is knowing that small percentage of games where like whatever improvement you had, whatever moment that you made the better choice or had the right discipline, and then you won the game and you knew you used to mess that up. Oh man. Those games make everything freaking worth it, guys. Because that's 60 MMR to win a game that you were otherwise going to lose. You win 30 instead of lose 30. That's a lot. You do that 3 or 4 times over 100 games. That's a huge deal. It's an absolutely huge deal. You don't have to turn all your wins into losses, or losses into wins, excuse me. You just have to slowly but surely eke that percentage above 50%. And then what happens is, as you gain MMR, the requirement for being above 50% is going to be higher skill because the players you're playing against are better. A lot of people think like, hey, I improved, so I was winning 53% of my games. Now I'm only winning 50%. Well, it's like, well, then that means you have to improve more, because you're at an MMR now where whatever you were doing previously is not good enough to win above 50%. I hope this video helps you guys. I'm kind of just spewing thoughts about my climb and how it feels and why I think it happened. But at the end of the day, it's really what you guys do with this and how it resonates with you internally. And hopefully I can help you guys gain some passion for improvement too. That's really what I feel like, is I've had passion for improvement. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. That seems so fucking fake after like confessing my feelings or whatever. But it does help support the channel. See you guys.